Think about all the steps that Jesus took during his ministry over 3 years. The different places that he walked, all the people that he saw. But I think on this day especially about the people that were afflicted with different diseases that he touched and healed. I wonder if they weren't lining the street as well on that Palm Sunday. I know if I'd been touched like that, I would have been there. I would want to see Jesus and say thank you for what he had done. Think about Jesus getting ready to go into Jerusalem. The disciples were scared and didn't really want to be there. And as he comes in, they prepared and had the donkey ready. And he rides in, and we see that there are many people gathered. Almost all are Jews. And the word had spread among the crowd that this was the King of the Jews. Well, they'd been awaiting a king. They thought that he was going to be a king like King David, a great ruler that would bring stability to the Jewish nation, to all the tribes of Israel. They wanted to see peace and prosperity during their life. Jesus had a different vision, didn't he? He wanted to see life and prosperity and freedom from sin and death forever. Last week we talked about the first Adam, that when Adam sinned against God, it caused all of us to sin, to fall short from the glory of God. And then we talked about that balance that Paul set out, that if one man could cause all of us to sin, why couldn't one man then forgive all of us and allow us to be united and to become one? Jerusalem was the seat not only of the Roman government for Judea and for that area, but it was the seat of the government of the Jewish nation, if you will, for that area at that time. And so as he went in, that's where the Sanhedrin would meet. That was the gathering of 71 that would decide large legal issues of the Jewish nation. They were the Supreme Court, if you will, for the Jews. They were made up of Sadducees and Pharisees. The Sadducees were a priestly group. They dealt with very religious festivals that would take place. They tended to be very rich. And the Pharisees, on the other hand, they were teachers. And they related more to the common person than anybody else. And so we see these two groups sometimes had a lot of friction between each other, except for this one time. This week, they came together because they both disliked Jesus. They felt that he was a threat, that the people, he was a rabble-rouser. He stirred people up too much. He was doing too much good. Isn't it sad when people do too much good? I tell you. And so they were out to find reasons to take him down. What's your Jerusalem? What is it that you face that you don't really want to go toward? Something that you might need to deal with. It could be a health issue. It could be whatever issue it might be. Jerusalem can be symbolic of something within us that we're kind of paralyzed to face. All the disciples felt like they were in danger of being killed. And we see, especially on Maundy, Thursday night, that fear was heightened very high within all of them, especially in Peter. And so, as we think about our lives now in the present day, we have the advantage of being able to see back in history, and we see how it's played out. But this week is still pivotal to us. We come celebrating today. We wave our palm branches and we're joyful for His triumphant entry. And yet we see within just a few days a turn. And how does that happen? How is it that we do the things that we don't want to do? Paul was confounded by that. It just didn't make sense to him, and he finally realized that it's my mind seems to be okay, but my arm out here, it does things I don't want it to do. And then this arm goes off and does things I don't want it to do. And my legs take me places I shouldn't go. If I just didn't have this body, I'd be okay. And he put it all on sin. You know, that's the catch-all. We, again, have an advantage today of understanding sin, I think, more fully. That's why I went into mental health many years ago, because I felt that we, as a church, needed to address mental health in a much more effective way. Because I felt like so many times we just would gloss over and not take a deep dive to understand why we do what we do to other people and to ourselves. Why do we do that? And to begin to understand how we can begin to change. And we can change. We can. We've seen that. And Paul is the perfect example of that change, and we see that. But we also see the struggle. And in this life, it is a struggle. It's a constant struggle that we want to do better, but that's a good thing. We are here in an environment and in this church where we celebrate so many things. In the first service, we celebrated the work camps that this church has done through the years. And Don, who headed up all those for the most part, he said we had done 26 work camps. That's around the nation and overseas as well. When I say overseas, across part of the sea to other places. And some of you have been a part of that. And it's fabulous to see the people we've helped. We've had work camps here at home where we recognize that people were in need and they needed help, and we've pitched in and we've done that. The blue barrel that's in the fellowship hall is a barrel where we can put food in for veterans. And I have a number of people ask me from time to time, they say, do veterans really need food? I said, well, I doubt that a colonel needs much food, but if you look at a private just entering in, yeah, he or she sometimes needs food. If they have children and they're pushed up against it, they don't have much extra money, and so they need help. And they don't want to go anyplace else except a place that's friendly to veterans. So you all have done that. You're doing an excellent job. And Jeff, thank you for your help doing that. It means a lot. Jeff helps to get all the food that you give and other things from one spot to another. And that makes a big difference. So it's all those things that change this up here. when we began caring for others instead of just ourselves, we have changed. Please pray with me.